Hello viewers, you're watching Afghanistan Report and I'm your host Swati Kundra. The main stories are: President Ashraf Ghani visits India. Hamid Karzai attacks new US combat rules, urges Taliban to talk peace. Afghan peace deal with Hizb-I-Islami on the occasion of Eid. India has played a significant role in the reconstruction and rehabilitation of Afghanistan. India is also the fifth largest bilateral donor in Afghanistan, making a strong relationship based on historical links. The same camaraderie was recently witnessed during the visit of President Ashraf Ghani visit to India. Let's have a look at how both the nations envisaged the future of the two strategically and culturally linked countries.
Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani recently visited New Delhi to hold consultations on key issues, including increased military assistance. During his two-day visit, President Ghani held extensive talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Both leaders expressed grave concern at continued use of terrorism and violence in the region for achieving political objectives, a veiled reference to common neighbor Pakistan, which denies sponsoring terrorism.
Two leaders discussed the regional situation and expressed grave concern at the continued use of terrorism and violence in the region for achieving political objectives. They agreed that this phenomenon presented the single biggest threat to peace, stability and progress in the region and beyond. And they called for elimination of all forms of terrorism.
While delivering the keynote address at a business meet jointly organized by the CII, FICCI and the ASSOCHAM, President Ghani set a target of $10 billion in 5 years for bilateral trade with India.
So you spoke of a roadmap. Let's start with a target of 10 billions in trade and investment. 5 years, and we are going to realize it. What unites us, and I echo the words of the minister, is our democratic values, our commitment to peace, our commitment to a world secure for children, secure for women, a world where opportunities can be created for the poor.
While listing out medicine, textiles, solar energy and infrastructure as areas with immense potential, he proposed formation of a joint cargo company to connect airports of the two countries. The Afghan head of state also suggested the setting up of a task force by both the governments to take the strategic relationship between India and Afghanistan forward. India, under Small Development Projects, along with the Ministry of Economy of Afghanistan, has undertaken or committed more than 200 projects covering public health, education and community infrastructure. Under Aid to Afghanistan budget, India established Agriculture University in Kandahar in 2014. In July 2015, the embassy completed the ICCR scholarship cycle for the academic year 2015 and 16. Utilizing all the 1,000 slots dedicated to Afghans. Besides a record of 100% achievement, it also had record number of women students, a total of 90. In May 2015, Prime Minister of India extended ICCR scholarship for Afghan students till 2020. India also sent more than 500 officials under ITEC program for various capacity building courses in India. Apart from above training program, India also provides various training program for the Afghan government officials from various fields on ad hoc basis under special discretionary slots. India in May this year announced that it will build and operate Chabahar port and invest $500 million to develop the strategically important port close to Iran's border with Pakistan. Deliberating on Chabahar agreement, Ghani said this will help India bypass Pakistan in transporting goods to Afghanistan via a sea-land route.
Why are we so concerned that a country can block two great nations from trading? Let's organize it and let's put the logistics in place. In with Chabahar, the monopoly will end.
While speaking at another event, Ghani asserted that making distinction between good and bad terrorism is a short-sighted approach. He further said that countries should help their neighbors and not indulge in maligning them.
They do not behave like malign non-state actors vis-a-vis their neighbors. They see a collective security to be the objective, and that's what brings stability. Stability does not come from the barrel of the gun.
India promised $1 billion in aid to Afghanistan, making a down payment on stabilization and reform ahead of a major donor conference next month.
A decision by the US administration to give its troops greater freedom in their fight against the Taliban in Afghanistan has not gone down well with the former President Hamid Karzai, who also wants the insurgents to soften their demands to give peace a chance.
Former Afghan President Hamid Karzai has criticized new authorities giving US troops greater freedom to conduct airstrikes against Taliban insurgents.
How could the US president authorize troops to go and on their own launch attacks in Afghanistan? Don't we have a government here? Aren't we a sovereign country? Don't we own this country? Is the US president in charge of Afghanistan? Or are we in charge of this country? That charge must return to Afghans. Then I'm sure things will move in the right direction. That charge is not now with Afghans. It isn't.
The US says its airstrikes support Afghan operations and it takes extreme care to avoid civilian casualties. Karzai also added that he wanted to reshape the partnership between Kabul and Washington. As for the Taliban, Karzai said he had seen little change in their tactics since the death of former leader Mullah Akhtar Mansoor in a US drone strike on Pakistani soil in May.
I believe the only thing I can say is an appeal to the Taliban as fellow Afghans to recognize that this is their country. And the way I want the Afghan elite and the Afghan government to be independent of foreign influence. The same way and more strongly, I would ask the Taliban, I would call on the Taliban to be free from foreign influence, in this case Pakistan and the Pakistani intelligence and military. Not to be in their service. And to return to their own country and with their brothers and sisters, the Afghan people, and work for peace and stability of Afghanistan.
He added that the Taliban had to be more realistic in their demands to make peace talks possible. The new authorities, which US officials say were agreed with the Afghan government, affect ground operations where US troops provide support to Afghan forces.
A peace agreement with a militant group led by Gulbuddin Hekmatyar is close to being concluded. The move offers an opportunity to several other militant groups to enter into negotiations with the government to end decades-long conflict. The proposed agreement's significance lies to the fact that the country's leadership chose the occasion of Eid to announce the development.
Millions of Afghans marked the Islamic festival of Eid al-Adha recently with prayers and feasting. As the country was engrossed in Eid celebrations, the country's leadership zeroed in on concluding a peace agreement with one of Afghanistan's most notorious Islamist warlords. A peace agreement with Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, a landmark accord that could pave the way for his return to politics after years in hiding, is in its final stage.
ما از تلاش‌های شورای عالی صلح و هیئت محترم حزب اسلامی تشکر میکنم که پیشرفت قابل ملاحظه صورت گرفته و در این باره انشالله امید است که به زودی ممکنه موافقه نهایی شود و ما شاهد یک گام بزرگ در ایجاد فضای صلح و ختم جنگ باشیم.
Negotiations with Hizb-I-Islami, a militant group led by Hekmatyar, a veteran of almost 40 years of fighting in Afghanistan, has been going on since May, when a draft accord was signed. If the government succeeds in reaching out an agreement with Hekmatyar, chances of striking a similar deal with other militant outfits will brighten.
As the peace talks in Afghanistan were in full swing amidst Eid celebrations, thousands of other Afghan refugees in New Delhi observed the day by celebrating with their friends and relatives after offering prayers. They had a feast and explored the freedom of religion in the Indian capital. Far away from their homes in Afghanistan, battered by decades of insurgency, a group of Afghan refugees gathered at the famous Lodi Gardens in New Delhi to celebrate Eid. With families separated, the usual fanfare was missing. But they did try to make up the absence of their family members and relatives by organizing a get-together and sharing meals together. However, living in an altogether different country as a refugee did dampen their spirits.
डिफरेंस तो बहुत ज़्यादा लग रहा है जो अपने वतन होते हैं उधर दोस्त भी होते हैं रिश्तेदार भी होते हैं तो जब ईद के सुबह के टाइम पे हम नमाज़ पढ़ते हैं तो उसके बाद जाकर जो बड़े लोग होते हैं हमसे बुज़ुर्ग होते हैं उसको मिलने चला जाते हैं हम उधर उसकी ईद मनाते हैं उसके साथ पूछते हैं उसके हाल और खुशी करते हैं हम तो यहाँ इस तरह होता है कि सिर्फ अपनी फैमिली कुछ दोस्त यार है रिश्तेदार है तो दूर होते हैं उससे इधर आना हमारे उधर उसके घर जाना थोड़ा सा दिक्कत होता है तो सिर्फ दिक्कत तो है फिर भी ये भी इंडिया भी बहुत अच्छी जगह है इधर भी हम खुशी महसूस करते हैं ऐसे नहीं है इस तरह ये भी तो हमारे इस तरह लगता है कि हमारे दूसरी वतन है ये
असल में तो हमारे रिलेटिव्स थे फ्रेंड्स थे फैमिलीज थे उनसे मिलते थे वो हमारे घर आते थे तो ऐसे बहुत 2-3 दिन ऐसे बीत जाता तक पता ही नहीं चलता लेकिन यहाँ पे कोई नहीं है हमारा तो है ऐसे दूर के फैमिली जैसे नाइबर्स होते हैं और सब उन्हीं के साथ फिर थोड़ा सा हाई हावर यू होता है दिन में और कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं होता यहाँ पे लेकिन वहाँ पे तो बहुत अच्छी तरह से मनाए जाते हैं यहाँ पे भी अच्छा है
But there were many who were happy to be in India, which has strong cultural links with Afghanistan. They were also appreciative of the freedom of religion in the land of diversities.
هندوستان یک مملکتی بسیار آرام، خیراندیش، دوراندیش، میهمان‌نواز، بشردوست، بسیار مردم نوازش میکنن، مردم مزاحم نمیشوند، فرزانین جنگ و کشت خون ندارن، شب و روز آزاد میتونن که زندگی کنن. 1 ماه، 10 ماه، 1 سال، 10 سال. این زندگی آبرومندانه فهمیدی کس به کس غرضدار نیست. بسیار یک مملکتی نیکبخت، بسیار مملکتی بشردوست و انسان دوست است.
Due to insurgency in Afghanistan, most of its population has migrated to different countries, mainly India, Pakistan, Europe and Australia. According to rough estimates, about 10,000 Afghans live in different parts of India, with majority of them settled in New Delhi. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode of Afghanistan Report. I'm Swati Kundra taking your leave. We'll be back next week with more news and views from Afghanistan. Goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.